What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So we're going to take a look and listen to Senator Manchin. He's going to be talking about this Build Back Better plan. And the interesting thing about Senator Manchin is he will talk. So he's not one of these politicians that you see these reporters running down the hall, chasing him down, and then you see him dip into the elevator or run into his office. Usually, if the reporters are out there and he's walking and he does have time, he will talk. And so that's a good thing. So the fact that he is in opposition of a lot of things that are in this Build Back Better plan is troubling. However, he'll engage you. He'll talk. He'll explain his side, and that's a good thing. You don't always see that when it comes to politicians. We have Senator Sinema right now who has opposition when it comes to this Build Back Better plan. There's certain things that she doesn't like in the plan, but you never hear from her. You don't see her walking down the hall talking with reporters. Generally, she's the one that's trying to avoid any type of engagement when it comes to talking to reporters and even talking to her constituents. She is kind of missing in action when it comes to that. So we're going to take a look and listen to Senator Manchin and see what he has to say about Build Back Better. But first off, on this channel, we talk about money, news, and more. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. And like always, if you see my name and a picture of me in the comment section, make sure you also see a check mark next to my name. That check mark signifies that it's me. If you do not see that check mark, it's not me. It's someone trying to impersonate me. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look and listen to Senator Manchin, and we'll talk about it as we watch it. Here we go.
Yeah, so since we last saw you, that inflation report came out saying the U.S. hit the 39-year high in inflation. Does that tell you that Congress should wait until next year to do the Build Back Better bill, if at all?
Well, whatever we're considering doing or whatever Congress is considering doing, they should do it within the limits of what we can afford.
So yes or no question, he doesn't answer it as a yes or no question. Should we wait until next year to take this bill up?
And that means having a tax plan that's fair and equitable, and keeps us competitive, but also makes everyone pay, especially the wealthy, pay their fair share too. See what that spends off, and if that's in the 1.7 range, then we should be spending whatever in that range as far as I'm concerned. If it's whatever plan it would be, pre-K, child care, end of which we call in-home care, then it should be 10 years. It should just be 1 year here, 3 years here, 5 years there, and that would be. I think it would be very transparent for the public to see exactly what they'd be getting for what we're spending for 10 years.
So you won't support it if these programs are temporary?
No, we're going to talk. We're still talking. I'm just, I'm listening to everybody, but I'm just telling you. Ask me about inflation is real. It's not transitory. It's alarming. It's going up, not down, and I think that should be something we're concerned about. Geopolitical fallout. We talked about that. I'm concerned with close to 100,000 troops on the Russian-Ukraine border, and also with the continuous flyovers from China taunting Taiwan. These are all concerns of ours that we're very much concerned about. So we're very careful what we do. And I've always said the unknown right now is very, very great. And I want to make sure we can handle and take care of anything that does come at us.
So do you think that some of these
So just listening to all the stuff he's talking about, so he's talking about the situation in Russia, he's talking about China, and the whole argument there, and then he's talking about inflation. So the whole argument there is we can't just spend money because we might need to spend money on these conflicts that we're seeing, or we might need to focus on inflation. So I mean, we can always think like that. There could be something else that happens. We might be called into another conflict, but the whole situation with Russia and with China, we're dealing with. They're not coming at us. They're coming at someone else. Do we come in and try to support the other side? Well, if we do that, yes, it's going to cost money. And so that's what we have to start focusing on. Do we want to spend money on the American people and protect us, or do we want to spend money to help other countries out? That's what we're going to have to, that's what we're going to have to come to, because we're talking about this $1.75 trillion for this bill, this Build Back Better bill. And that helps the American people. And then you hear Senator Manchin talking about, oh, what about the conflict in Russia? What about the situation in China? And we might get dragged into that. And if we get dragged into that, it's going to cost money. It's going to cost billions of dollars. And if we're there for 20 years like we were in Afghanistan, it's going to cost trillions of dollars.
Now, is this legislation becoming more imminent for you, or what are your conversations around a possible deadline or the urgency to get this done? Schumer says December 31st, maybe December, that you'd like to see this, or will it even more?
I know people have been in a hurry for a long time to do something, but I think basically we're seeing.
So he's telling you right there, he doesn't see this getting done in December. There's no urgency on the way he sees it. And we need Senator Manchin to vote for this in order for it to go through. Because if he does not want to vote for it, if he wants to kick the can down the road, well, nothing will happen. And they know that. And so the White House is talking with Senator Manchin right now, trying to figure out a game plan when it comes to Build Back Better. But this is something that President Biden needs. He desperately needs this. His approval rating is down. He needs something. He needs another win. He got the first infrastructure bill. He got that win. He needs another win, and maybe even another win after that, because there's just so much going on right now. And I think inflation is really going to cause a lot of problems for the Democrats in 2022.
Things unfold that allows us to prepare better. And that's what we should do, take advantage of what we're doing in a very litigious way, and making sure what we do and how we do it, for what period of time we do it, is something that we can maintain, manage. My grandfather used to say, unmanaged debt will make a coward out of the decisions you make. And we're now at 29 trillion, and we'll be pushing on to 30 trillion. I'm sure that Mr. Powell, with the Feds, they're going to make some decisions pretty soon here. And I'm understanding that he is considering things that we've talked about. Quantitative easing should be reduced or eliminated as quickly as possible. And the interest rate is going to affect all of us if he has to increase interest to try to control.
Senator, what is your message going to be to President Biden today when you guys talk?
No, I don't have messages. I basically go and have conversations whenever the president calls me or wants to visit. We visit and we talk genuinely as person to person, as two people that have had the experience of being in the Senate, they're much longer than me, understanding this process, and being extremely respectful and very friendly. He's been a friend.
Senator Graham said on Friday that in conversations with you, you were stunned, that was his quote, by this modified CBO report that came out. Is that inaccurate?
Well, I've seen the Ken Wharton report. The Ken Wharton report, we've been working with a lot of different people getting cross-sections of what really was a true figure, and we've seen figures pretty high on that. And then when the CBO came back and confirmed that, yeah, CBO's figure was even a little bit higher. I think it's very sobering.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that number?
Have you finalized your plans? Are you going to the White House to meet with the president?
I'm going sometime today, I believe. You know, it's either a phone call or I'm going over. I've heard both, so I'll find out when I go. Maybe later this afternoon or early this evening.
And are you going to tell them whether you want to do this bill now?
We're going to talk about exactly what happened on Friday with the CBO score and inflation reports and things of that sort.
Okay, now this CBO score that he's talking about, now when it comes to the child tax credit, because that was part of the CBO score, they based it on 10 years, not the 1 year that the extension shows. So in Build Back Better, it's extended for 1 year. And so what they initially wanted to do is they wanted to have the child tax credit be extended until 2025, so about 4 years. And so they had this new CBO score that showed it for 10 years. Well, no one's asking for 10 years at this point, but they want to know the true cost. The true cost, if they extended everything out for 10 years, of course it's going to be in the trillions of dollars over what they estimate. And so it's really not fair when you look at this whole situation, because if you are extending something for 1 year and then after that year, then you'll look at, should we extend it again? Okay. Should we continue to extend it? That's a different thing. Each time you extend it, then you need to look at the cost. But you can't just say, well, in the Build Back Better, it's only extended for 1 year, but we're going to show a score for extended for 10 years. It doesn't make any sense, right? Of course, it's going to be more, and it's going to add more to the money that it will cost for Build Back Better. But if it's not in the current plan, it doesn't make sense to add it. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little confusing, but I don't even know why they would put out a CBO score like that, unless the whole reason for it is just so they can say, look, we told you it was going to cost trillions more than what they said it was going to cost. Well, yeah, it will cost trillions more if you add it for 10 years, but nobody's asking you to add it for 10 years.
I'd like to hear theirs first, the president's first, where he's at and what his concerns may be.
Would you believe that CBO number? I mean, the White House says that, look, this is not offset the spending, but the Republicans say this is the true cost. Do you believe it's the true cost, $3 trillion?
That CBO is not a Republican or Democrat report. The CBO is a Congressional Budget Office, and they're nonpartisan, and they're.
But the CBO score could be bipartisan, but it's who spends it. You have two sides. You have the Democrats saying, no, this is not right. And then you have Republicans saying, look, we told you it was going to be $3 trillion, but it's not in the bill. That's the what we need to get to. If the bill said that, if the bill said the child tax credit was going to be for 10 years, well, then, yeah, we can understand that. That's what the CBO came out with when it came to the score. But if they're not saying it's 10 years and they're only extending it for 1 year, and you can do it on a year-by-year basis, then what's the problem? If it gets too expensive, then you stop it at that point.
Give it to us the way the facts are, we like it or not. And I've been very concerned because I've been seeing all the people. The Penn Warden is a very prestigious institution, and I think a lot of people respect their ability for accuracy, and they have not been off.
You don't believe that temporary programs will stay temporary?
I just don't think that that's a fair valuation of saying that we're going to spend X amount of dollars, but then we're going to have to depend on coming back finding more money. So you might as well look at the whole ball of wax, if you will. And if that costs us $4 or $4.5 trillion, and we're raising 1.5, 1.7, 1.8, whatever we're raising in that, and I'm concerned about paying down debt too. So whatever we raise, I want to make sure there's money going towards paying down debt. We have to start taking care of our debt and be responsible. And then if we don't, if we're not transparent and accurate, then where does the money come from? Do we go back in another bite and more funding, or do we just throw caution to the wind and have debt financing, which has been done by both parties for far too long?
What are you talking about with some of your progressive colleagues in terms of things like universal pre-K, child tax credit? Because Pramila Jayapal has said, though, that those are not red lines for them. It wasn't initially in their core priority. Pramila Jayapal. So are you guys looking at eliminating some of those, or just making sure?
I think everyone has to choose basically what we can sustain, and that's a 10-year program, okay? And, families, we're speaking to families now, inflation has hit them and hit them hard.
And so my question, you heard he say that that's a 10-year program. He's talking about the child tax credit, which, like we said, the extension is for 1 year. So what happens after 10 years? So should we really be looking at a score that always includes the child tax credit? I mean, if you make that argument, okay, this is a 10-year program, well, why not make it a 1-year program and then extend it for another year, then extend it for another year? Or if we're going to make it a 10-year program, why not make it a 20-year program or a 30-year program? So that argument is weak. I think when we're looking at this and going back to that CBO score, however you want to look at it, if they want to do it for 10 years, we really should be looking at bills that address things on a year-by-year basis. And that, I think that's across the board. We should be looking at that because we need to look, first, is it effective? And do we have the money for it? And if we don't, then that's when you need to start cutting some of these things out. I don't agree with doing it for 10 years. I don't think it should be something that's a 10-year program. I simply think it should be year by year and then evaluated each year. And that, you know what, that'll give politicians something to do, right? Because a lot of these politicians are sitting around, they're not doing anything. Well, maybe every year you can take this up and look at, is this something that is still working, and is this something that we can afford to move forward with?
Virginia and all around the country. People are seeing it daily at the food stores and grocery stores, at the pumps. Now winter's coming on, and this will take another toll on them. So people are very much concerned. They're worried. But when you think about where families are, they make decisions. Businesses, small, large, have to make decisions, and based on what their priorities are, what they can afford to do. And all of you all do. We all make decisions that way. And government can't be any different than the people we represent. We got to find the highest priorities we have and make decisions and move from there. So we'll talk, and I'm happy to talk to anybody and everybody. I've been very open, and I think I've been exactly where I've been from day one, have not changed, and still looking for a responsible way forward.
Okay, so that was Senator Manchin. It doesn't look like he's going to want to move forward this year. So, and I think that's clear. And I said this, I've been saying this for about 2 weeks now. When it comes to this Build Back Better plan, I don't see it getting done by the end of the year. Okay, we only have a couple more weeks. And just listening to Senator Manchin there, I know he was going off to the White House to speak to the president, but I don't see a sense of urgency. I don't think that Senator Manchin is going to want to move forward this year. And so we're going to be looking at this next year. That's just the reality. Now, it will be an election year. So that will change things because you're going to have politicians coming out in favor and some opposing this Build Back Better plan. But I think Democrats will all come on board at some point, hopefully sometime next year, and figure this out because they know in the House they're all running for re-election. And so something needs to get done. If it doesn't, they're really going to be affected in 2022 in November. And if Republicans take over the House, well, now you have a whole different situation because Build Back Better is not going to go anywhere from that point. So you will have some politicians, some Democrats saying, look, it's now or never. If we don't get this done, we're not going to have an opportunity after the midterm elections in November. So that's going to be something else, an artificial deadline that they'll be looking at too. We need to get this done. If it doesn't get done, Well, then now Republicans can say, look, President Biden didn't do anything. Oh, he got a stimulus package through, and we had a bipartisan infrastructure bill. But when it comes to his key legislation that he wanted to get through, the Build Back Better plan, it didn't go anywhere. So we'll have to follow this and see where it goes. But you see Senator Manchin is not too eager to move forward right now. In my opinion, it just looks like Senator Manchin's just saying, you know what, we'll talk about this. We'll continue to talk, but we're not going to move forward with anything until I think it's an appropriate time. And with all the stuff that's going on right now, you see that he doesn't think it's an appropriate time. If you guys have any questions, post them down below. I want to know what you guys think about this. What do you guys think about Senator Manchin wanting to delay this until next year sometime, or delay it indefinitely? I mean, at this point, he's still not clear on if he is going to support a lot of what's in Build Back Better. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one for more. And I'll talk to you in the next one for more. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So we're going to take a look and listen to Senator Manchin. He's going to be talking about this Build Back Better plan. And the interesting thing about Senator Manchin is he will talk. So he's not one of these politicians that you see these reporters running down the hall, chasing him down, and then you see him dip into the elevator or run into his office. Usually, if the reporters are out there and he's walking and he does have time, he will talk. And so that's a good thing. So the fact that he is in opposition of a lot of things that are in this Build Back Better plan is troubling. However, he'll engage you. He'll talk. He'll explain his side, and that's a good thing. You don't always see that when it comes to politicians. We have Senator Sinema right now who has opposition when it comes to this Build Back Better plan. There's certain things that she doesn't like in the plan, but you never hear from her. You don't see her walking down the hall talking with reporters. Generally, she's the one that's trying to avoid any type of engagement when it comes to talking to